Once a thriving sailor, Daniel had always loved the sea. But on one fateful voyage, a ferocious storm wrecked his boat, leaving him stranded on a deserted island. Days turned into weeks as Daniel adjusted to his harsh new reality. He foraged for food, drank rainwater, and used his survival skills to build a small hut from branches and leaves. Though simple, the hut became more than just a shelter. It was his home, his fortress, and a reminder of his resilience. Every evening, as the sun set, Daniel sat by his hut, staring at the endless horizon. He held on to hope, believing that one day, a passing ship would notice him. To prepare for that moment, he gathered dry wood and built a makeshift signal fire atop a hill, though weeks of unlit wood lay untouched. No ship ever came. One evening, after a long day of scavenging, Daniel returned to his hut to cook a small meal. As the fire crackled and the sky turned crimson, a sudden gust of wind sent sparks flying toward the roof of his hut. Before he could react, the dry leaves caught fire. No! Daniel screamed, rushing to throw sand on the growing flames. But the fire was relentless, devouring his hut in minutes. Everything he had worked so hard to build, his shelter, his tools, his small comforts, was reduced to ashes. He dropped to his knees, defeated. Tears streamed down his face as he gazed at the smoldering ruins. Why? He whispered into the night. Why is everything taken from me? What did I do to deserve this? That night, Daniel slept under the open sky, consumed by despair. The stars above, once a source of wonder, now seemed indifferent to his suffering. For the first time since being stranded, he felt truly abandoned. But just before dawn, a distant noise roused him from sleep. He sat up, squinting into the horizon. The faint sound of an engine grew louder. His heart raced. Could it be? He ran to the beach, waving his arms frantically. A small rescue boat appeared, its silhouette growing larger as it approached. Daniel could hardly believe his eyes as the crew called out to him. When the captain stepped ashore, Daniel's voice trembled with emotion. How did you find me? The captain smiled warmly. We saw your smoke signal yesterday. It led us straight here. Daniel froze, staring back at the remains of his burnt hut. The smoke that had felt like the end of his world was the very thing that saved his life. His despair had birthed his salvation. As the crew helped him onto the boat, Daniel looked back at the island one last time. What he once saw as a disaster had turned into a blessing in disguise. He whispered to himself, sometimes, losing everything is the only way to be found.